guys, it's the Captain here from Andertons, and today we're going to have a little drum video with the world's newest manufacturer of drums, and hurrah hurrah, a British manufacturer. I've got three of the people who are involved in the company here. We've got Al, we've got Keith, and we've got Ian. So we've kind of got the sort of the glamour, the builder, and the player. And I'm just going to ask them each a question about their company. So it's the British Drum Company. And you guys will be able to find out a little bit more. We're also going to be stocking the drums in Andertons as well. So come down to the store and speak to Rob or any of our drum department about it. But look, let's start. Al, I know the beard is a bit of a disguise.
Yeah,
but,
it's not working now, is it?
Yes, some people may recognise you either as a very successful comedian or historian, perhaps.
Yeah.
But passionate drummer and now drum company owner.
Yeah. Well, I've played the drums since I was a kid, and sort of in periods on and off, and it's my top hobby. It's the thing I really am passionate about. And about 25 years ago, I realised I wasn't good enough. I was a bit crap, and the best way to carry on enjoying it was to keep it as a hobby.
Yeah.
So that's what I've done, and then over the years, you're doing what I've done. You achieve a certain level of kind of notoriety or fame or whatever, and doors get open for you. And one of the things I got involved in was the drum world, because it's the thing I love. And as the years have progressed, I've ended up making friends with people like Keith, who makes amazing drums. And the opportunity came along to put this company together, and I grabbed it with both hands, basically.
All right, that's a cool story. Keith, you're the builder.
Yeah.
Now, I know that you've spent some time building your own drums and working for another very well-known sort of British drum manufacturer.
That's right.
I hate to sort of, I think most people would say that typically the sort of drums haven't evolved terribly over the last sort of 50 years. Lots of brands sort of essentially just regurgitating the same sort of thing. So with the British Drum Company and with designs that you've done in the past, what are you trying to bring that's sort of new and fresh?
Well, there's nothing. I mean, you can't reinvent the wheel, to be honest. And I personally think there's been a lot of designs. I've done some myself. What's a bit out there with shell construction. We've had people. There's been other companies what's designed drums but don't even have lugs on.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of gimmicky type things what's been tried before. But I personally feel people just want a well-made drum. What looks good and sounds good. And there's nothing more to it than that. It's all about sound to me. Cosmetics is secondary, but it does play a big part. And I always champion sort of British, as much as we can, British-made products. So what we're doing is we literally manufacture not everything in England, things like the hoops and stuff, but the majority of what we do is produced in England. Even from the plywood, we produce the plywood ourselves from raw veneer form, and it's literally as simple as that. It's just a well-made snare drum.
So stuff like the lugs, have you gone for a proprietary sort of design on these, or are these?
So this is the Merlin snare drum. What the lugs on this are actually solid brass. So
right.
Brass is a really good conductor of music, as in brass instruments, trumpets, etc. What this allows, literally the tone of the drum to travel through the shell and literally vibrate better off the two. You've got the top skin and bottom skin, basically two membranes vibrate together. That helps with the tone of that.
It's a complete range, isn't it? So snare drums, kits.
Yeah.
Not your own hardware. So it's predominantly shell packs and snare drums at the moment, or are you doing hardware as well?
We're looking into hardware as we speak, but currently it's literally just shell packs at the moment.
And what would you say then? To a drummer that was perhaps looking to buy a high quality kit. What would you say about them that you'd like to sort of draw them in, perhaps to look at your brand over and above some of the other brands that they might be more familiar with?
Yeah, I think like we said, our biggest USP is literally it's 100% handmade in the UK. We will be doing a lot of videos showing the process of from drums from start to finish. the attention to detail with my drums is, I mean, literally every single drum that goes through, I completely, fully check. The bearing edges, everything is so smooth. It's just really well made.
Yeah. None of these drums have come on a slow boat from China.
Yes.
They're made in Stockport by hand. And the other thing, I think that, I mean, Keith's very modest about this, but the shell creation methods he invented himself. That this is Keith's proprietary approach to shell construction. So these shells aren't made the way anyone else makes them, and Keith's a self-taught craftsman, so came at how to make drums his own way. So that's what you've got here. Is you've got. I mean, you've got one of the. I mean, I think there are 3 named drum makers in the world who are exciting names, and Jimmy Craviotto, Brady, and Keith. And Keith's here in the UK making drums for the consumer in Stockport. And what we're not interested in, we're not a boutique drum house either. This is, this is we're in mass production mode, but in England.
Yeah. Well, all my favourite designers in the world couldn't sell, sort of life insurance to a dying man, basically. So I think it's a good thing that you're very modest, and you need. I think you'll need people like Al and Ian around you to sort of champion, because you are clearly, as Al was saying, you have a fantastic pedigree in building drums. You've got some designs that you've brought to the market that haven't been done before, and it's British, and in current times we should be championing that.
I mean, if you wanted to come and see, if you ordered a drum kit from us, and you want to come and see it being made, you can do that. You can drive up the M6, come to Stockport, and see the veneer go on, if that's what you want to see, or see the bearing edge being turned in a way that if you were to buy a drum kit from most of the other manufacturers, you've got to fly to Shanghai, get in a cab, go to somewhere on the outskirts of somewhere pretty edgy, and hope that you're looking at the drum kit that's yours.
So we're kind of lucky today because if you don't recognise this chap on my right, this is Ian, the drummer with Kasabian. You've recently switched from endorsing probably arguably the best known high-end sort of drum brand in the world to endorsing the British Drum Company. So from a player's perspective, what was it that attracted you to move across to these guys?
Well, you see, I've known Al and Keith for some time, and I've got to know Keith. I've got to know Keith's work over the past few years, and when the opportunity came, when I was invited, to get to be involved with this company and to work alongside Al and Keith, I just, again, it's an opportunity that I just couldn't turn down. To be involved with the company from the ground up. Obviously Keith is a genius when it comes to creating these drums, but to be part of the creative process of how we make them, the kind of like the backroom planning of what we want them to look like, what we want them to sound like, kind of to be part of that, not just someone who just plays someone's drum kit on stage, was just an incredible opportunity.
What do you kind of go for then when you're looking? Are you, is it a certain signature sort of sound, or I'm sort of interested, if you like, as a you know, I'm the only drummer, the only non-drummer in the room. Apologies. So I'm kind of interested as to what is it that you know, how do you find that drums perform differently as you sort of try one to the next?
They do. I mean, like with snare drums, for instance, you know, you can have dry spots or sweet spots in the snare drum. You know, you can have a thin tinny tone, or you can have a nice deep fat tone. You know, you can have, you know, some drums suffer from tensioning, you know, high and low tunings. You know, some drums gravitate towards certain this or certain that. Whereas with Keith's work, for instance, with this snare drum, you know, you can take these drums wherever you want them to go.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's incredible. You know.
So it's a stability, consistency.
That's right.
So yeah, let's get an idea in terms of. I know we've only got the snare drum here and not the full kit, but I love, you know, this idea of being able to design an instrument that is consistently performed, so you haven't got dead
Yes.
spots and all. You know,
Yes.
but you know, give us some idea of the sort of the tones that you can get.
It's all there.
So you've got all the dynamics there, haven't you, like that.
Do you know what I mean? You can, you know.
What's not to like?
What's not to like?
What's not to like? And presumably, you know, when you're gigging, do you tend to damp your drums more, or do you like that sort of live ringy?
I
kind
quite
of
like
sound?
I like a live sound anyway when
Yeah.
I'm playing. Even with, you know, with Kasabian, even when we're touring. It depends on the room. Sometimes, you know, I might just need to add a little bit of moon gel to something just to keep something under control.
Yeah.
Because the frequencies are kicking off. The PA, or, you know, whatever. But I tend to like an open drum sound, so it's really important to me to have well built drums. I'm not the kind of guy who likes to dampen his drums down. So you start dampening drums down, you get to a point that it can be anything. You know, the more open the drum sound, the more incredibly important it is to have the right drum.
That's it.
When anyone was going to buy a drum or build a drum, or you want your drum to be as lively as possible, because you can always take away, you can always dampen it, you can't add liveliness. So if you're in a studio and it's a real dead room, if you haven't got life in the snare drum, you can't bring
You're
that
done
in.
for.
Yeah. So, Al, tell us, come on, who's your favourite drummer? Who did you sort of grow up
Oh,
thinking
Ian
of?
Matthews is easily my biggest influence currently. No,
Your second biggest
all
influence.
sorts. It depends on the day of the week. I grew up on kind of your Stuart Copelands, Phil Collins, all those busy, sort of quite heroic
Yes.
style of playing. You know, where you had lead drummers is the way drumming used to be. But all sorts of people really, and you know, the truth is, I mean, the other thing that's happened since I started playing drums when I was a kid is drumming has changed enormously.
Yeah.
Everyone has to play in time now and all that sort of stuff. So and it's, you know, but yeah, all sorts of people. That's a question where I always feel put on the spot,
Really?
because I'll say some names and then I'll think, oh, I forgot about him, or I was listening to that guy this week. You know,
I mean,
you know, your
'cause they're
Bill
quite-
Brufords, your Vinnies, your Bonhams, I mean, I love Keith Moon's playing, although I don't understand it. I don't know what on earth he was doing. You know, and I'll fight you to a standstill over Ringo. You know, when people go, Ringo was crap, you think, oh, are you out of your mind? You don't know what you're talking about. So it depends on the day of the week, really.
And if you could swap then, so a sold out one man club landlord tour, or you could be in, you know, you could be in the police for a year.
Well, I'd be in the police for about 3 minutes, and then they'd fire me. But yeah. Well, you know, the thing is like I said earlier, I've always tried to hang on to it as a hobby, because if I do play, and I do occasionally gig in a band, if there's some proper drummers there, I get terribly nervous, because it's not my thing. In the way that I hope a drummer, if he got up and tried to do some stand up, would be nervous if I was there.
I'm sure they would. Well, look, it's lovely to have these guys down today, and I'm probably not as out of my comfort zone as you guys might think when it comes to drums. You know, in case you're wondering, I know Anderton's, perhaps like most music stores over the last 15, 20 years, has seen the sort of the guitar market grow and grow and grow, and so, you know, stores tend to be chocked full of guitars, and drums suffer as a consequence. My granddad and my dad, who were the two guys that started Andertons, were both. My granddad was played the drums from about 1925. In fact, you might even see some cool black and white shots on screen now of him in his sort of jazz trio in the 1930s. Cool. My dad was a gigging drummer, played with on the same bill as lots of 60s pop stars like Gene Pitney and stuff like that. And they both decided that they would open the music store. In fact, Grandad never really wanted the music store to be anything other than a good excuse to chat to all his drumming mates all day
sounds
long.
Pretty sound.
Yeah, it was and then my brother is still a professional drummer now, and he lives in Australia, tours with lots of bands, played with lots of famous people. So. Yeah, I don't know what.
Well, we look forward to sending him a kit then.
Absolutely. Well, he would. I'm
Via the
sure he
store.
would. Absolutely,
Yeah.
he gets good discount. Yes, on stuff normally. But so it's always been important to us to keep our drum department thriving, and it's an absolute honour for us, I think, to support another British company. Because as you say, even some British companies that you think are British, everything's made in the Far East anyway. So I don't know if they're really. But this is genuino Stockport's finest.
Yeah.
Well, and on the flip of that though, we're really excited to be involved on the retail end of things, because the simple truth is with drums, you can't buy them on the internet. You have to sit down with a drum kit, with a snare drum, whack the thing, kick a kick drum, bash some cymbals if you really want to understand them.
Yeah.
So that's why we're really keen on these things being in shops where people can get their hands on them and try them out for themselves, and then they'll see and feel the quality and understand why they absolutely have to buy a set of our drums.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So, look, my very special thanks to Alan, to Keith, and to Ian for giving up a fair chunk of their day to battle through the traffic to get here. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I will put in the description section below links for where you can find out more about British Drum Company and more about Andertons, and where you need to ask questions to find out more. But yes, for now, thank you guys all for coming
Thank
down.
you. Pleasure.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
very
having
much.
us.
And yes, we'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah.
Well, Ian,
Yeah.
you know, for those of you that are sitting here sort of going, you know, don't recognise Ian, that's okay, because, you know, most of the time he's sitting behind a big drum kit and you won't see him. But you're the drum man for Kasabian.
That's right. Yes.
Massively popular.
Oops.
Never invite a drummer in to do any videos with you. It's fine. We'll edit that bit out.
Sorry, man.
Edit the
Don't
coffee
worry.
out the carpet.
Or keep it in. It's probably the funniest bit. I'll let you tidy that up and then we'll. Don't worry.
Thanks, Lee.
Who put that there?